I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Wednesday, June the 8th, brought to you in part by Vitalix. Vitalix is an American family-owned company that specializes in livestock feed tubs to meet your every need. Livestock is your livelihood, tubs are their expertise. Get the blue tub, and remember you can add fly control to almost all of their products. Visit Vitalix.com. Is a cattle rally coming too early? I've kind of been thinking that here the last couple of weeks, and some of you guys may not think we're in a cattle rally, but the whole last part of last week from Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, and they only had Tuesday because Memorial Day, last week your feeder cattle futures were up. Live cattle gained quite a bit last week too. They were down to start the week this week, but back up some on Tuesday. But if you look at your cash feeder cattle markets, your competitive, active, price discovery sale barn markets, then you know that we are in a rally right now. These sale barns have been, straight up ever since a Wednesday of last week. We saw your big Monday high volume sales realize that gain on Monday. We saw it again on Tuesday. Now we're going to see what's going to happen here, because we're back to where we started, where we saw that big jump up whenever your board was up over $4 in your spot month there last Wednesday, and your feeder cattle auctions on Wednesday were sky high. We're going to see what happens now this Wednesday. I think they should be steady to a little bit higher again. This thing has just gone crazy. And it's for basically all classes. Now your lightweight calves are not well tested most places because there's just not very many available to sell. Most of them are still on their mothers enjoying the best part of their life out there. And your fall-born calves are they're a lot bigger. They're feeder type cattle, or they've already been sold. So not a lot of lightweights on the market, but your feeder type cattle, I tell you what, are just selling sky high. And we think, well, is this coming a little bit early? We kind of expected this to happen, but we really didn't expect it to happen until August sometime, till we get through the big brunt of the market-ready cattle. And we haven't heard any of your feedlots squalling about having trouble dispersing their show lists. Now, the show lists are likely some bigger. We've got confirmation here a week ago that 2 weeks before that we had gotten into the calves. The cattle that were put on feed as big calves. We know that those have already reached the market, because that slaughter information is 2 weeks delayed, and we got it over a week ago. So we've gotten to the calves. The grading is plummeting. Your carcass weights are plummeting. So we know that we've gotten to those calves, yet we're not seeing a hard time getting through them. A lot of people thought when we got to those calves and those bigger numbers of cattle, market-ready cattle, we were going to have a hard time keeping current. Your feedlots are very current right now. And we just haven't seen for a long time that big glut of cattle hit the same time period where your packers are really wanting to crank up the chain speeds. And we are seeing that. And I told you that your grading has plunged compared to 2.5 weeks ago, kind of when we got into those calves. Your choice and better cattle nationwide, your percentage is down 1.5% just in 2.5 weeks. Nebraska, your choice and better grading cattle is down 3.5%. Kansas, it's down 1.2%. We're seeing that we're getting into those cattle, and those younger cattle just don't grade as well as those harder yearlings that have a little bit more maturity to them, and they marble better, they feed better. They feed more efficiently than the calves. The calves are just so youthful, and they're still kind of growing, and they just have a harder time marbling, which is what makes your quality grade, and that's about it other than maturity. And they sure don't have any problem with that because they're very young. But now we're seeing your packers really step up your slaughter. And what else are we seeing? I think a lot of people are seeing, and I was talking to a friend of mine that kind of knows, and I was looking into it a little bit. This beef cow slaughter, your factories that make these feeder cattle, your beef cow slaughter has been up so big, Just the beef cows, not including your dairy cows and stuff, is up by around 15% year to date. If you go back to the average of the 5 years, it's way more than that. I was talking to an area that's been really dry, but they're starting to get some good moisture. Talking to my friend Justin Tupper up at St. Onge Livestock, that's in extreme western South Dakota. That's one of the places where it was so dry, and he was selling twice or 3 times or 4 times as many slaughter cows over the last 6-8 months or a year than what he normally does, and it was killing him to do it because he knows that's going to be that fewer calves that he's going to be able to sell. And he's in the commission business there, but I asked him kind of what's going on there, and he said they've been getting some rain there in western South Dakota. That would be north of the Rapid City area up there. He said it's getting pretty darn good around. Guys are easing up a little bit on their drought fears. You go more widespread than that, and there's even more moisture out there. He's still selling a lot of slaughter cows, but he says it's normal now. It wasn't normal, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 months ago. It wasn't normal, but right now he's still selling about 1,000 head of weigh-up cows every week. But he said that will only happen for another week or two because people are branding right now. And whenever they get those cattle up and they're branding their calves, it's a good time to get in there and preg check, and it's a good time to cull on their slaughter cows. So he normally sees that. But he says in another 2 or 3 weeks, everybody will be done branding. They'll have all their cattle turned out, and it will shut off. I mean, like a spigot. And there will be no more slaughter cows available, and they've cleaned them up so well with everybody culling so hard, there's not going to be very many slaughter cows around at all. Talking to another guy down in the southeast, and they have been bringing those slaughter cows to town like crazy, and a lot of them not slaughter cows. A lot of them pretty good bred cows, middle-aged type bred cows, but the guys, and they're mostly part-time ranchers or part-time cattle farmers there, they're just seeing what those cows have been bringing, and we've watched your cow prices be near record highs here over the last 3 months or so, and those cows are just dollaring up so much they can't resist. It costs so much for them to fill up their tanks. The hay costs so much. They've had plenty of moisture there, but I mean, they're always looking to see what they've got out there and how much they'll bring, and those cows are dollaring up so much they can't resist selling them. And it's going to be a while before they get stocked back up again. So what's going to happen here now when we run out of cows? Now, we've got a lot of cow plants out there, and we've got some plants that are kind of dual that slaughter mostly cows, but can slaughter some in-betweeners, some heiferettes, maybe some odd fed steers and heifers and things like that. There's several of those cow plants that'll do that. Now, some of the cow plants that historically get mostly dairy cows, they'll just continue to get the dairy cows. But if they want to fill in and they want to ramp up slaughter too, because they've been making really good money, some of these plants that depend on beef cows, they're going to have to fill in with some of these other cows. And it's going to be significantly more fed steers and heifers in those cow plants. Well, they're going to be pulling those away from the big 4-packers that slaughter 85% of our fed steers and heifers. That's going to ruffle the feathers a little bit. That could cause the market to spur up just a little bit. It doesn't take much. I mean, we know how thin the trade is in the Southern Plains, and it still keeps your market moving. But we saw last week it's still estimated, but we're expecting it to come in like they had it estimated. Last week's Memorial Week slaughter was estimated to be the largest in over 10 years. Okay, last Wednesday, they had the largest one-day harvest of fed steers and heifers than they've had in over 10 years. Also, so you think, whoa, now what's going on? Now, we may not have bigger total slaughter, but we might have more fed steers and heifers in that slaughter and less cows, because we've been running heavier on the cows, which cows are usually about 20% of your slaughter. And I think we're going to be running more fed steers and heifers, and some of it's going to be happening in these cow plants, or I say, traditionally cow plants. That is going to spur things up, and I think it could help bring this market to its milk a little bit quicker than what we're counting on, and you guys just kind of pay attention. I was talking to my old buddy John Hanger out there that I auctioneer with in Fallon, Nevada at Nevada Livestock Marketing. He was telling me that out there their cows have gotten so high that he's seeing cows this week bringing 210 in the meat and more, standing in the ring in Fallon, Nevada, and that's quite a ways to a major slaughter facility. So they're still bringing a big premium price there, and they wouldn't be doing that if the guys really didn't want them and if they weren't making money. But as they run out of them, they're going to have to look to something else to hang on the hooks. Let's talk about your board. On Tuesday, June live cattle futures up 90 cents at 133.72. August up $1.22 at 134.12. Your back months of live cattle were all up, from up just 2 cents on your farthest out to as much as 97 cents, getting closer up here nearby. Feeder cattle were higher too. August feeder cattle up 47 cents, settling at 172.45. September up 20 at 174.75. Back months on your feeder cattle range from unchanged to up 17 cents. So not a lot of movement, but it was all positive, and it was right in the face of higher corn again for the second day. Your corn Chicago Board of Trade futures were up 14.5 cents on your normal trading, and ended normal trading hours at 7:57. Beans up 29 cents at 17.28 1/4. And Kansas City hard red winter wheat, which is hugely volatile, down 20 3/4 cents, settling regular trading hours at 11.49 1/4. Fat cattle trade has not developed yet. What? Where's our basis jumpers? Well, live cattle, June live cattle have gained a couple of dollars since last Tuesday when we saw basis jumpers at 135. They weren't willing to take that. All your major packers were bidding 135 in the Southern Plains. No takers. So they're actually gonna wait and see what the market's doing. We're seeing about how things are gaining, and we're looking at gaining a lot of ground in all classes of livestock between now and late fall. How are we going to gain that in your fed cattle arena? Is it going to be your big corporate feeders and those that have the sweetheart deals and these modern marketing tools and things like that, these AMAs? Are they going to be the ones to do it? No. They are going to sit on their ass like they always do, sit on the sidelines and root for the few small guys that are still out there trading cattle in a negotiated manner. That's what makes me so sick, that they are fighting tooth and nail. Texas Cattle Feeders, Kansas Livestock Association, not wanting to mandate negotiated trade, because they don't even know what negotiated trade is anymore. They've sat on their ass and watched from the sidelines as the little guys have prepared the market for them. And then they take advantage of the Midwest and the Northern Plains, because that's where the bulk of our negotiated trade comes from. And a lot of them in their sweetheart deals sell off the 5 area weighted average. So they're getting to sell their plainer cattle that don't grade nearly as well off of a market that's heavily weighted towards the Midwest and the Northern Plains. And I don't blame Nebraska and Iowa for thinking it's a bunch of shit, because it is. But the only trade that we saw is in Iowa, because that's the way they sell them negotiated. On Tuesday, Iowa sold 1,700 at 141, and some dress sales from 224 to 227. Box beef cutout values were higher. Choice cuts up $1.84 at 271.42. Selects up $1.53 at 249.56. Your slaughter just through the first 2 days of the week, 251,000, 13,000 more than the same week a year ago, guys. It's hard to compare last week because we had the holiday on Monday, but that we're going to have one of the biggest harvests we've seen in a long, long time this week if we don't have a wheel come off somewhere. But talk about what else is going on. EverAg Insurance Services. Navigate risk management with EverAg. They specialize in all ag insurance services, including the LRP, the DRP, the LGM, and the PRF. advisory services to buyers and sellers of grain products, and vault software technology for your business needs. Visit ever.ag for more information about EverAg insurance services. Let's talk about your feeder cattle market, your real-time index on DV auction. Late in the day on Tuesday, sitting at 157.99. Right there at 158, guys. That's getting pretty close to 160. That's based on an 800-pound steer right up through the middle 12 states, just like your CME index. But at 157.99 was 48 cents higher than the end of Monday's close. I mean, we're just gaining ground every day here, and we have for the last week and a half. Let's talk about your big sales on Tuesday. Ozarks Regional Stockyard, West Plains, Missouri, 3,500 head through the ring, another 350 on their in-house video that they have almost every week. Steve Anderson's doing such a good job with that. Runs out, gets some video on those cattle, sparks it up at the same time every day in the sale. They have online bidders, they have bidders there in the sale, and guys are getting along really well with that. And congratulations to Ozarks Regional Stockyard for getting that deal going. Calves sold 5 to 10 bucks higher. Yearlings not well tested. How about Beaver County Stockyards in Beaver, Oklahoma? I told you about their sale that they were going to have on Tuesday, and indeed they did have it on Tuesday, and I told you they were going to have 7 or 8 loads of 9-weight cattle, and you guys probably went, yeah, right. In no man's land, Oklahoma, are going to have 8 loads of 9-weight steers. They indeed had 8 loads of 9-weight steers, and here they are. They ranged in weight from 899 to 996. And they bring from 149.10 to 152.50. If you guys are looking for big strings of yearling type feeder cattle, check out the yearling special at Creighton, Nebraska, that's going to be happening here on Wednesday. Also on Thursday, they got the big barbecue special at Mitchell, South Dakota. How about some individual quotes for you on Tuesday? 4 state stockyards out of Exeter, Missouri. That's extreme southwest Missouri. They're a DV auction customer. You can view and bid them every week. 50 head, 622-pound steers bring 188.50 in Exeter, Missouri. How about Bluegrass Stockyards in Lexington, another DV auction customer, and all your bluegrass locations in Kentucky are on DV auction every week. 62 head of steers weigh 767 at 165.80. Here's a market we don't get to talk about very often. You think maybe down in Arkansas they don't sell very many big strings. Well, maybe they don't, but they do at Cattleman's Livestock Auction in Harrison, Arkansas. Another DV auction customer. You can view and bid their sales every week. DVauction.com out of Harrison, Arkansas. On Tuesday they sold 133 in one whack. Weighed 762 pounds and bring $161. Harrison, Arkansas, standing in the ring. But the best quote that I saw anywhere on Tuesday in your National Beef Wire, top quote from the day, come from another DV auction customer, Denny Rezac, Livestock Commission in St. Mary's, Kansas. Listen to this quote, guys. Denny sells 64 head, 803-pound steers at $172.60. That's your feeder flash for Wednesday.